take this off. Sorry, I have a boonie hat and a wife that belongs to my top that belongs to my wife. On a bright, sunny New England day, the congregants of the Milford Meeting House stroll along on their way to church, chattering and eager, all seemingly in good spirits. As the sexton rhythmically clangs the church bell, they continue making their way through the doors of the church, until suddenly the sexton gasps, "But what has the good Parson Hooper got upon his face?" It's there that the story of the minister's black veil truly begins. As murmurings and exclamations and gasps race among the crowd, and everyone jostles and cranes to see, they all rapidly become aware that the good parson's face is covered to just above his mouth by a black veil of crape in 2 layers. The impact on the congregants is immediate. Revulsion and dread sweep over them. Many fear the parson has gone mad. Nonetheless, they remain. As Parson Hooper, a capable, though mild preacher, delivers his sermon that morning, the members of the flock are mesmerized, menaced even. They feel probed and detected and exposed as he speaks to them of secret sin. As the pastor's sermon draws to a close, the attendees leave the church rapidly, practically leaving skid marks on the floor of the church. No one even takes the time to invite the pastor out for company or to stroll along the way or to have a post-service meal, a fact that he notes from the door of the church with a sad smile. Later, that afternoon service was likewise unnerving for the parishioners. As the parson presided over the funeral of a young maiden, many imagined the dead girl literally shuddering when, as he leaned over to deliver the final blessing, his veil hung down, revealing his face. Later that same night, as he was set to perform a wedding for a happy young couple, the flock felt certain that he would leave the gloomy garment behind. The impact on the young couple and the assembled guests was immediate. Blood ran cold, faces fell white, celebratory zeal utterly evaporated. Following the ceremony, upon taking a quick drink of wine, the parson, inadvertently catching sight of his own reflection, was likewise run through with ice-cold dread and raced into the lonely dark night. The following day, among young and old alike, Parson Hooper's ominous swatch of fabric was the talk of the town. The very pious people of the village resolved to resolve the matter by dispatching a committee of deputies who would insist that the good parson come to his senses, and who, upon being received graciously by the good parson, were immediately struck mute, unable to address the small cloth elephant in the room. The only person in town not awed or cowed by the minister's black veil was the parson's soon-to-be wife, Elizabeth, insisting, quite reasonably in my opinion, that as his betrothed, she had a right to know what secret lay concealed behind the mask, and upon being informed that no one, not even her, would ever again see behind his veil, she, again, quite reasonably as I see it, informed him that she could no longer become his wife. From that point forward, no one attempted to remove the minister's black veil, but no one attempted to embrace him either. He remained in town, he continued to serve as their pastor, and in fact became a far more effective and compelling pastor than he'd ever been before with his plain bare face. He was, however, a pariah, a man without family, without friends, without community. As described by Hawthorne, in this manner, Mr. Hooper spent a long life, irreproachable in outward act, yet shrouded in dismal suspicions, kind and loving, though unloved, and dimly feared, a man apart from men, shunned in their health and joy, but ever summoned to their aid in mortal anguish. Through many years and passing congregations, Parson Hooper became Father Hooper, a title which acknowledged his advancing age. His congregation swelled to fill not only the church, but the courtyard outside. And on his very final day, he lay surrounded by a physician, by deacons, by members of his church, and finally, his once betrothed Elizabeth, whose affections never waned. As the attending reverend makes one final unsuccessful bid at removing the veil, Father Hooper explodes, excoriating the gathered crowd for the years of unkindness, fear, and rejection he endured as a result of the small scrap of cloth across his face. Why do you tremble at me alone? Tremble also at each other. Have men avoided me, and women shown no pity, and children screamed and fled? Only for my black veil? What but the mystery which it obscurely typifies has made this piece of crepe so awful? When the friend shows his inmost heart to his friend, the lover to his best beloved, when man does not vainly shrink from the eye of his Creator, loathsomely treasuring up the secret of his sin, then deem me a monster for the symbol beneath which I have lived and die. I look around me, and lo, on every visage a black veil. Like many, if not most, I believe the veil is the symbol of secret sin, the parts of ourselves we try to look away from and push aside, memories of past misdeeds that linger within us, sometimes silent, almost forgotten, only to rise unbidden to provoke fresh, red-faced shame for long past transgressions. Deceit, theft, infidelities, even milder things, unkind words, unkind deeds, callousness, succumbing to pride and vanity and vindictiveness rather than rising to the sort of generosity of spirit that we're commanded to. All the things we try to hide away from the people in our lives, even from and especially from those to whom we're closest. I believe the real point Hawthorne is making here is that we too often hide them so well that we hide them from ourselves, seeing plainly the sins of others while having a blind spot for our own. The idea that proud piety and puritanical zeal can wall us off from the acknowledgments of our own sins and our own moral shortcomings, that our own eagerness to judge each other gets in the way of reaching out and embracing each other with kindness and a helping, supportive hand.